Okie dokie. So we are going to watch this video by one Mr. Jordan Peterson. My throat is jacked up, so I can't do the Jordan Peterson impression today. I'll try, but there are no promises. I don't think it's going to go very well. So what happened recently is he made a tweet, and it was pretty offensive. I mean, I don't usually give a shit about people being offensive, but it was needlessly cruel, just out of the fucking blue. And Jordan Peterson was talking about Elliot Page and dead-named Elliot Page and made some really shitty comments. And I think he talks about it in this video. So I'll let him tell you what he tweeted. But what's strange is, I don't know why he gives a shit. I don't think Jordan Peterson and Elliot Page have ever had an interaction at all. Just leave Elliot Page alone. I don't really fucking understand what the fuck is going on with this. But anyway, this video, I've only seen like little clips of it here and there. I want to watch the whole thing. I imagine it's going to be fucking comedy gold. So let's do it. Let's go.
Hello, everyone. A few days ago, I penned an irritated tweet in response to one of the latest happenings on the increasingly heated culture war front. In response to the decision of an actor named Elliot Page.
Yeah, he intentionally has to do it. He intentionally has to drastically point out that Elliot Page is trans. Fucking why?
I am employing this awkward and impossible naming style because it is now apparently mandatory and am probably doing it wrong nonetheless.
You're intentionally doing it wrong, you dick. Look, Prince was not born Prince. Cher was not born Cher. Fucking Jesus Christ, man.
As you're doing it wrong is the whole point of what has been made mandatory. But also, I'm trying to make a point. I've essentially been banned from Twitter as a consequence. I say banned, although technically I have been suspended. But the suspension will not be lifted unless I delete the hateful tweet in question, and I would rather die than do that.
Spoiler alert, he deleted it. Like 3 days after saying this on a video. Just fucking deleted it. Like, no. I listen, you know, I just, I have to have my fucking Twitter. I have to go in there. I have to publicly fucking embarrass myself. I can't. That's his fucking heroin, dude. That's his fucking heroin.
And hopefully it will not come to that, although who the hell knows in these increasingly strange days.
That's right. You know, in this culture war, right now it's a cold war, but it's about to become a hot war where he might have to lay down his life to defend his tweets. Well, you know what, doctor? By all means, just go for it. If that's what you want to do, that's going to be great.
What was it that I said that caused such a fuss? And that fuss is just beginning. And even more importantly and complexly, what exactly was it that I said that resulted in the ban? Here's the tweet in question. Remember when pride was a sin? And Ellen Page just had her breasts removed by a criminal physician.
What does either of those things have to do with the other? Also, you're tweeting about how pride was a sin during Pride Month. Obviously a homophobic fucking statement. Like, it's bizarre. It's absolutely fucking bizarre. Like, there's no other reason to be posturing about pride in June than to be disparaging on the fact that there is pride. That's it. And then why bring up Elliot Page? Why? What the fuck is the point? Except to be needlessly cruel. That's it. There's no other purpose.
Then a link to a story that detailed out the happenings. The response from Twitter, quote, violating our rules against hateful conduct. You may not promote violence against, threaten, or harass other people on the basis of race, ethnicity, national origin, sexual orientation, gender, gender identity, religious affiliation, age, disability, or serious disease. By clicking delete, you acknowledge that your tweet violated the Twitter rules.
It did.
Delete. If you think we've made a mistake, submit an appeal to us. Please note that, should you do so, your account will remain locked while we review your appeal. Let's take this apart. First, it is clearly the case that I did not promote violence against or threaten anyone with my missive. So that leaves the arguably lesser sin of harass.
Yeah.
Let's assume, since I wasn't informed, that that was the crime. And further,
It's not a crime. It's a breaking of their rules. It's not your fucking house. It's Twitter's house. You know the website's fucking free, right? Like, it's free. It's fucking free.
harassment on the basis of so-called gender identity, since Twitter did not do me the favor of actually specifying my crime, and there are many possibilities on that front. We unfortunately have to guess at why this has occurred, and that's actually a big problem in and of itself, and also indicative of the utter carelessness of the Twitter organization with regard to the propriety of its own censorial actions.
That is a very pseudo-intellectual way of saying, how fucking dare you? I want to speak to your manager. These policies are terrible.
I should at least know exactly what I did wrong if I am required to acknowledge that my tweet violated the Twitter rules. What rules, you sons of bitches? Exactly. Precisely.
I hope they see this, bro. What the fuck?
Because such things matter when the accusations start flying. So what did I say that might constitute harassment? Well, many things, hypothetically. Let's begin with, remember when pride was a sin?
No, not really. Not really. I mean, there's the 7 deadly sins, but that's kind of a very specific notion that also has not ever been a basis for laws, and also is not codified in the Bible. Just saying. You could say that, like, pride cometh before the fall and shit like that. Sure. But a sin? I don't fucking think so, buddy. I don't fucking think so. And even if it was, who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? We don't live our lives based on the rules and laws that were in existence thousands of years ago. I mean, there is no legal stoning allowed anymore, at least not here.
Although that is merely a factual statement, because under the old rules applicable even a decade ago, pride was a sin and had been recognized as perhaps the cardinal sin for thousands of years previously. It still might be regarded as unacceptable to the woke authoritarian moralists who now insist, for example, that we celebrate Pride Month, not hour or day or week, but month.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Pride Month is a lot of fun. If you're not an intolerable piece of shit, it's a fucking great time.
And to have literally called it Pride Month
instead
of LGBT plus month or whatever else alphabet acronym which is currently insisted upon as the only acceptable enlightened terminology.
And that doesn't actually happen, and nobody really gives a shit. If you just say LGBT, they're like, oh, okay, cool. And you can throw more in if you want to, but nobody really gives a shit. Nobody ever gives a shit. Nobody fucking cares.
I don't regard pride as a virtue. It has been classically regarded as a sin. I don't see that sexual orientation or sexual desire of any sort is something to celebrate or to take pride in.
It's because you're a miserable old fuck who doesn't like anything and can't have any fun.
And so what I said was merely a fact. Now, it's possible that I hurt someone's feelings because I pointed out that pride goes before, for example, a fall.
You fucking said it, you fucking dickhead. I swear to God, people who find this guy to be intellectual are insufferable, but at least they're not as bad as him because Jesus Christ, he's so up his own ass.
But I don't care about that. Would do it again. and also consider it my duty to warn those who are about to fall into a pit that the path they are on leads suddenly downhill. But that was probably not the reason that I was banned from Twitter, although, as I said, I am in the position of having to guess. Next phrase to interrogate. And Ellen Page. Now, why did I stop there? Because in all likelihood, it was this seemingly innocuous phrase, including the name of a well-known actress. There, I'm in trouble again.
Does it on purpose. He's not even a good actor. Like, it's so I don't think necessarily that he's even trying to act. I think all of this is very performative to signal to his audience that this type of behavior is a good type of behavior. This is the way in which to fight back against the woke moralists and hurt their feelings for no reason, because they're not doing anything to you, but just because you have this perceived notion of being oppressed. Jordan Peterson is very fucking oppressed. Jesus fucking Christ. Look, I have something to say about this, and I think this is pretty important, and I think people need to understand this too. We have standards of behavior that we develop organically in society. It happens totally on its own. Usually there is some sort of push behind it, but it tends to be reinforced by how people perceive society at the time. It's a good thing that we now see it as very taboo to intentionally deadname someone. Now, it is unfortunate that some people will accidentally deadname someone, and people can be very cruel to them, even if it's an honest mistake. Everybody's learning. Everybody's getting used to it, okay? But there's nothing different from this than other standards that have existed in society since there's been a society. Guys, we live in you get it. It's simple as that. It's just, he's an old fuck, and he doesn't like the fact that he has to change his behavior, and he thinks society should change to adopt what he thinks it should be.
That likely resulted in my ban. I committed the fatal crime of what has come to be known in the appalling sensorial terminology of the insane activists as deadnaming, which is the act of referring to someone who has transitioned, another hated piece of jargon and slogan, by the name and by the inference, the gender, really the sex, that everyone knew them by previously, and in the case of Ellen/Elliot, that millions of people recognized and knew. So I should have either called him, her, they, Elliot, instead of Ellen.
Yes.
Although, as we will discover, that would have made it impossible for me to say what I wanted to and need to say in the remaining phrases. Not that such a problem would bother those who are objecting to my speech in the...
He's gonna... Wait. Are you trying to imply that trying to say Elliot would then mean it doesn't make sense because you then commented about having a mastectomy? Biologically born males can have mastectomies. Like, they can have gynomastoma? I think it's gynomastoma. Man boobs. Like, dudes can get man boobs, and they can have, like, fucking surgeries, mastectomies, to have them removed. Like, I don't even know. Like, has he even thought any of this? I think he's reading from a fucking script. I think so. Which means he probably had to write all of this down, then checked it again, and he's like, oh yeah, no, that looks good.
First place. The next phrase is, just had her breasts removed. This bit suffers from a very similar problem. I employed the forbidden pronoun her when Elliot, Ellen, is now to be regarded as a he or else. But there's a conundrum here, to say the least, and not just for me.
Pronouns are literally just an ask for respect. And as long as somebody asks for that respect respectfully, I think we should respect that. Why not? The only reason to not do it is to be cruel. There's no other reason. And thus, especially if you're a big name person, that could constitute as harassment. Yeah, absolutely.
Although I have been banned because of it. Was Elliot/Ellen a she or a he, or Ellen or Elliot, when she or he or they,
Jesus Christ,
that's Elliot or Ellen, by the way, had his or her or their breasts removed?
Okay, we're about halfway there.
If he or she was a he, then why was it necessary to have the mastectomy?
I don't know how he doesn't realize that men can have mastectomies. I don't get it. And yeah, somebody in the chat, yeah, he totally pointed out men can get breast cancer. Yeah, Posadas John, absolutely. Men can totally get fucking breast cancer. It does fucking happen.
And how could those I'm writing to make sense of what I was saying if it was his breasts that were removed? Were those male breasts or female breasts that were removed?
Who cares? They're breasts. Who cares? Why do you need to gender the boobies? What the fuck?
If they were male breasts, then why were they removed? If they were female breasts and had therefore become objectionable to the degree that surgery generally reserved for cancer treatment was required, was morally obligatory, then wasn't Elliot still Ellen?
I have a question, and this is probably the most important one. What fucking business is any of this to Jordan Peterson? And why? And if it's none of his business, why does it affect him so much? Why is he so fucking upset? What about this hurts him? Why? Like, I don't fucking get it, dude.
And he still she? How could I possibly have written that sentence in any sensible manner whatsoever?
Just don't write
while
it.
simultaneously making my point understandably and not breaking Twitter rules against so-called hateful conduct.
He's so fucking mad, dude.
Elliot Page just had his breasts removed. Was he Elliot then? When exactly? Exactly. He was definitely Ellen at some point in the past, or so indicate all his, her, them, their film credits.
Why do you care? Just shut the fuck up. Why do you care? Why do you care? Why do you have to, let's think about when exactly he, she, they, you, blah, 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 blah. Like, just shut the fuck up. Elliot wants to be called Elliot. Call him Elliot. That's it. That's it. Moving on. Done.
Will all those have to be reshot since they employed the hated dead name?
Yes, of course. Sure. Let's reshoot the whole fucking thing. Yeah, let's do it.
Dead name category.
Yeah, let's do it.
Except
Fuck it.
in the
Reshoot all of the
sensorial
movies.
and addled minds of a tiny fraction of insanely narcissistic and increasingly dangerous trans activists.
You talking about narcissism while you're sitting here, a multimillionaire who gets paid to shitpost on Twitter and run around and everybody does fucking everything for you. And all you have to do is sit there and ramble like a goddamn idiot to make massive amount of money. You're sitting here and you're crying on fucking camera, whining and bitching like a little boy. Like this, the way he tries to rationalize this reminds me of a little kid arguing with his parents about why, actually, you see, you trying to get me to go to bed at 8 o'clock is, that is indicative of the chaos dragon. You see, it's neo-Marxist post blah, 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 so really I should go to bed at 9 and get ice cream.
When precisely was it incumbent on me to switch my terminology in regard to Elliot/Ellen so that I was not engaging in hateful conduct? And how can I describe the fact that someone who was once a woman, and really still is, had her breasts cut off?
Wait, Jordan Peterson is leaving his wife for Hannah Reloaded? I mean, he's definitely he's leveling up in that one. Hannah's amazing.
Because she, he, they, their, them had fallen prey to a viciously harmful fad without using the appropriate sex-linked pronoun and the real name of the real person to whom this was really done with his, her, their voluntary but unfortunate acquiescence. And so it was impossible to communicate what had happened to my audience without apparently running afoul of the impossible and absurd rules that now hypothetically govern morality itself in the days of...
Guys, this is scrometing. This is scrometing. I'm sorry. This is just... so fucking dumb, man. This this is my favorite pause right here. Just so pissy, so fucking angry. Pants full of fucking shit. Just absolutely furious. Fuck.
The degenerated postmodern and Marxist ethos that we must still, no matter how impossible it is, abide by or else. And you might object, Ellen/Elliot is an adult, 30-something, and
Yeah.
fully capable of making up his, her, their own mind about such things. And she, he, they are welcome from the liberal and the libertarian position to go to hell in a handbasket as she, he, they see fit.
So leave him alone.
And fair
leave him alone.
enough, to some degree.
This,
But I don't believe it is either merely picayune or inappropriate to point out that Ellen/Elliot, who is quite a good actor/actress, is also a ritual model for emulation, being a star with all the privileges and, let us point out, the responsibilities that go along with that.
oh, this is about the children. You're being cruel needlessly to somebody who has never impacted you at all because of the children. That's what this is all about. It's because of the children. He needs to protect the children. Okay.
So by acquiescing to this surgery and by publicizing it, and by insisting upon the sanctity and the moral virtue of his, her, their new, expensive, dangerous, and medically enhanced identity, and by participating in the whole identity charade, Ellen/Elliot has undoubtedly, with his, her, their so-called courage, and remember the White House itself has tweeted out every indication of believing in the courage of those who transition, enticed many a poor, confused adolescent, girl most likely, to blame her emergent pubescent self-consciousness, confusion, and discomfort on being born in the wrong body and believing that the courageous, self-affirming, and morally admirable route is hormonal treatment, sterilization, subjugation to a lifetime of expensive medical complication. How delightfully profitable is that? And misery. And I believe firmly that Ellen/Elliot, or whatever the hell her name or his name is, bears moral culpability for that.
I see. Okay. Yep. It's always, it's, think of the fucking children. They are being led to a path of, they're following a trend and blah, blah, blah. And it's all Elliot's fault and blah, blah. Well, what would you have Elliot Page do? Continue to live in suffering because he's having to live a life that is not comfortable and is not according to how he feels in the inside? That they should suffer, or they just have to, they transition. They have to do it quietly. Just do it quietly. You know, we can't have an epidemic of the transes happening. Like, fucking A, man. God, how much? We got 3 more minutes on this. Okay, fuck it. We're gonna do it.
And finally, with regard to the final phrase, criminal physician, I must say that I've had some post-coital, so to speak, regrets about that phrase.
Post-coital regrets about that phrase. Post-coital? Is there any other... There is no other definition. Yeah. There's no other definition of coital that's going to make sense of than he fucked his wife, or maybe his daughter. I don't know. Fucking that they're a little weird. They're a little sussy there. And was like, maybe I should not have used that phrasing. Maybe. I don't know. But like post-coital, what a fucking... Is that like, is he just fucking like, is he just humble bragging? Post-nut clarity is Peterson. Yeah. Yeah, he just got done cream pieing Michaela and was like, I should have phrased that differently.
It is clearly the case that the surgical operation performed by the butchers who butchered Elliot/Ellen was legal. So, was it criminal or not? Were the operations undertaken by the fascist physicians who carried out...
The physicians are fascist because they did a plastic surgery that he doesn't like. Oh, okay.
...out the Nazi medical experiments legal?
Oh, he's talking about the Nazi... Okay.
Yes. Under the laws of the time.
You fucking moron.
But were they criminal? I'll leave that question up to you to answer. And further, perhaps it might be objected, What about the damage done by hypothetically leaving those confused about their identity to dwell in their confusion? Aren't we morally obliged to intervene? And I would say, no. Why? Well, first, do no harm, as the Hippocratic Oath, remember that, insists. And second, it has been a matter of historical consensus that sins of omission are less egregious than sins of commission.
Okay.
Thus, leaving someone with gender dysphoria, no matter how warranted, and perhaps it is in a very
This is the most brain rot thing I've ever heard. Hang on, I have to like fucking decode and like translate what the fuck he's saying. This is so absolutely insane. Yeah, he did invoke Godwin's law, I know.
As the Hippocratic Oath.
Hang on.
And further, perhaps it might be objected, what about the damage done by hypothetically leaving those confused about their identity to dwell in their confusion? Aren't we morally obliged to intervene? And I would say, no.
Why are you morally obliged to try and intervene in the other instance? Why? Why are you morally obliged? How is it okay for you morally to be a cruel motherfucker to somebody that doesn't have anything to do with you, and then whine like an overprivileged little fucking twat with poop in his pants? Like, what the fuck, man? But then, no, this gets worse. Listen to this shit.
Why? Well, first, do no harm, as the Hippocratic Oath, remember that?
He's going to say that the plastic surgery, the mastectomy, is doing harm, but he's also not going to pay attention to the fact that he's intentionally trying to be cruel and hurt people with his words. Keep listening.
Insists. And second, it has been a matter of historical consensus.
This is great.
That sins of omission are less egregious than sins of commission. Thus, leaving someone with gender dysphoria, no matter how warranted, and perhaps it is in a very tiny minority of truly unfortunate cases, to suffer the consequences of the theoretical mismatch between soul and body.
Okay, this is great because he changes it from lies of omission and lies of commission to sins of omission and sins of commission, and it doesn't work the same way. Now, you can say a lie by omission is a little bit less harmful than a lie by commission. I don't necessarily think that's true at all. I really, really don't. But a sin of omission could be vastly worse than a sin of commission. Absolutely. Just depends on what you're fucking talking about. And all of this is just so he can have some like very shaky intellectual platform by which to justify why it's better to never have any gender affirming surgery. Even if it's just cosmetic and not like a full reassignment, like that is terrible. It's so much worse than just making them suffer through. And also, you don't know what you're talking about because you don't have gender dysphoria, Jordan. So you can't make that determination. You don't understand. And also, it's none of your fucking business.
Is less of a risk ethically, personally, socially, and philosophically than the extremely active intervention that constitutes so-called gender confirming, another hated phrase, surgery.
Nope. Overwhelmingly, if people get the type of affirming care procedures, many of them don't go all the ways, but it reduces greatly mental health problems, risk of suicide. Overwhelmingly. Are there some cases where, they do have regret and they wish they could detransition? It does happen, but it is small compared to good. So, sorry.
I might also point out that the trans surgery enterprise is now a $300 million per annum growth industry. Rate of projected expansion, 15% per year.
300 million? I mean, Peterson at this point has to be like, he's got to be worth over 10 million. He has to be. Like, he's rich as fuck. Jordan Peterson net worth. Hang on. This is just a ballpark, but at least 8 million. Yeah. He's worth at least 8 million, and he makes like $80,000 a month on his Patreon, or did until he deleted it. Let's see. $200,000 per month from his consulting firm, clinical practice. Let me see if I can find a better one. Yeah, I don't know. Probably around 8 million, maybe more than that. Like, so an entire industry, he makes like 2.5% alone as an entire industry, and he's got a big complaint about it. What the fuck? I know 300 million is a chump change to any industry. Absolutely. Like, it's fucking ridiculous.
Projected increase by 2027 to $750 million per year. An expanding enterprise in a time of global uncertainty. Time to invest, both in the requisite surgical skills and perhaps in any industry associated with this vicious and unconscionable fad, primarily entangling
money bad unless you're talking about my money,
as such things so often do, the youthful and female. Isn't that a concern, intersectionalists? Not when push comes to shove or ideology to scalpel. Is that not a true moral hazard?
Nah.
And I'm not taking down that tweet or acknowledging that my tweet violated the Twitter rules.
But he did. He fucking did.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
You fucking canceled yourself and then came back so you can continue to be the main character of the internet and be an absolutely embarrassing piece of shit.
Twitter's a rat hole in the final analysis, and I have probably contributed to that while trying to use, understand, and master that horrible, toxic platform. No doubt I owe some apologies for that, and I'm trying to learn, but it's a relief in some real sense to be banned.
For 3 days. He has left Twitter. He's quit Twitter like 5 or 6 times now. He always comes back. He's addicted to it.
And I regard it under the present conditions as a badge of honor.
That's a pretty good pause screen. Yeah. Look, the thing is, when Peterson first hit the scene, I actually thought, wow, this guy's like this firebrand, and he's very eloquent, and his whole thing was, and he even said he would respect people's pronouns as long as there wasn't a law forcing him to. And I was like, that sounds very reasonable. And I held the position, which I still do, which is, as long as somebody asks respectfully, I will do my damnedest to treat them with respect and use their pronouns, their name, whatever they want, and treat them like how they want to be treated. And it's just like, that's a basic concept. But he just started getting worse and worse and worse. And I think there's 2 things that have done it. Number one, I think it's because he got so famous, so popular, and that now he's attached to so many people in one sphere of political influence, and they encourage him. And I think he's very monetarily invested in maintaining that base. So he is knowingly contributing to people getting dumber so that he can get rich. So I think he's a grifter. But also, I think he's insane. And I think the reason he's insane is because when he had a fucking drug addiction, rather than deal with it with the courage that everybody else has to, that isn't fucking rich, and actually go through the withdrawals, face your fucking demons, go through the process to grow as a human being, he went to Eastern fucking Europe and got put into a medically induced coma so that his body could go through the withdrawals and he wouldn't have to feel any of it. Jordan Peterson is a fucking coward. He's a coward. He's weak. And now he's fucking brain damaged from a goddamn medically induced coma that he put himself into. Because when he came out of that, he was fucking Looney Tunes. Fucking Looney Tunes. Suddenly everything is about the Bible, and he's incoherent, and he's just absolutely unhinged. I think he's brain damaged. I literally do. And if he had any self-control and degree of self-care, he would he would actually get off of social media and take care of himself. But in the meantime, we have this funny old man with poop in his pants that we can laugh at. So, thank you, Dr. Peterson.